welcome to another episode of the Can We Talk R&B podcast. I have an incredibly special guest today. We have, I'm going to say a legend because I remember how I felt when I saw the movie Brown Sugar. You know what I mean? I remember how I felt when I saw the movie Just Right. Wow. This brother has been writing and contributing creatively to the culture, not necessarily as an R&B artist or a musician in that regard, but I can feel the inspiration of R&B all over his creative works. This brother is, the most recent contribution that I'm aware of, the Ruth and Boaz film that's on Netflix right now. Amazing project. Guys, we have none other than the legendary Michael Elliot in the building. What's good, man?
What's up, Ian?
How are you?
I'm well, very well.
Thank you for making the time, man. We're happy to have you.
Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. I asked everyone, can we talk R&B? Now, we're going to talk a little bit more than R&B, but can we talk R&B?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So for people who may not realize it, your work has shaped how a lot of, us in Black love on screen has been represented. When did you first realize storytelling was your calling?
Wow. Great question. It's interesting, Ian. For me, it happened later in life, right? Like it was, I'm at least 30 years old when I even thought about coming to Hollywood and writing movies. Like it wasn't a thought that I had like in my 20s. And so, when I came to LA and decided to be a screenwriter, it happened to me relatively quickly. And specifically, it took from my decision to write, because I owned a computer and I needed to work, and I had strategically decided that the best way for me to get into the movie business was to create something of value. And so that's how I saw my circumstance. When I looked around and said, well, I love movies, I want to be in the movie business, how can I do it? What I had was a computer. And so I looked at it as a tool, like I'm going to write something of value as my entry point. And so when I made that decision and did a crash course on writing, honestly, Ian, like I gotta catch myself. I say literally a lot, and I noticed that I do it a lot, so I don't want to say it again. But I bought a book on screenwriting, read it one weekend, went to Blockbuster Video, and re-rented all my favorite movies, watched them for a week, studying the movies with this information I had in the book, and then I started writing. 14 months later, I got the call to change my life, which was a major studio, 20th Century Fox, wanted to buy the script I'd written that was called 7 Days, which was the original title to Brown Sugar. And that happened in 14 months. And so when you ask me, when did I know? For me, it was May 15th, 1998. That was the date I sold my first script. And knowing that it happened to me relatively quickly as a person of faith, for me, it was like God touching me and saying, this is what you're supposed to do. You're in alignment. And so for me, it was that moment, the fact that it happened that way. And I need to add, the script, Brown Sugar, that was originally called 7 Days, Ian, sold in 7 days.
Come on.
So that was so when it happened in 7 days, it was like God saying, this is what you're supposed to do. I gave you this gift that you didn't even know you had. This is what you're supposed to do. And I've been doing it ever since.
That is amazing. That's first of all, you said May 28th, you said?
May 15th, 1998 was the day I got that call.
What's funny to me, how that resonates with me, that's around the time I graduated high school. It was in the month of May in 1998. I remember all of my friends and I, the girls and guys in our crew, going to see Brown Sugar at the theater. I remember this very clearly. Around that, I want to maybe it was opening weekend, but it was definitely around that time. And the cultural impact, and I'm not sure when you were writing it, you knew that it was going to make the impact that it did. And at
Yeah.
that time, we had a lot of black films. You know, we
Hmm.
had the Love Jones run. We had
Yeah.
had I think Best
Yeah.
Man maybe around
Hmm.
somewhere around that time as well. And coming after, in the 90s specifically, there were so many amazing black films,
Yeah.
not only, that told stories, a positive story that's told stories of professional black people, like
Yeah.
real black people, not just,
Yeah.
I look at a lot of the other stuff as not necessarily, we have these stereotypes of who the
Yes.
black person is. So we
Yes.
had movies like Boys in the Hood. We had movies like South Central. I love those
Yeah.
films as well. But I
Hmm.
think about movies like Boomerang. I think about movies like Brown Sugar, movies like
Hmm.
Love Jones.
Hmm.
These movies told a different story and
Yeah.
depicted us in a different light. And I
Yeah.
appreciate, even to this day, films like that show us
Yeah.
as, not a monolith, but shows us as the colorful people that we are,
Yeah.
both intelligent, creative, and professional.
Yeah. Me
I
too.
love that. I love
Hmm.
that. Um, and I don't want to get ahead, but to that same point, what do you think about like what's missing in today? We don't see enough of that now. Back in the
Yeah.
'90s, you saw a lot of that. Why don't we see more stories that depict us like that way?
Wow. That's a great question. I personally think that, just on a whole, a lot of times what comes out of Hollywood and what we're able to do in Hollywood, and I'm saying in Hollywood because there's ways to today to create content and get it to the masses without being quote unquote in Hollywood, right? But
Sure.
I've been in it inside Hollywood for a very, very long time. And the things that come out of Hollywood often are things that are in some way proven, right? They are things that are, Hollywood's all about how much money did we make,
Yeah.
what's the box office looking like,
Right.
right? And
Absolutely.
so, I have to say that like for creators of love stories, um, all the movies that we love, the ones you named, right? In many cases, we as black people, we didn't really show up at the box office. Like that's the truth. Like Love Jones is a work of art, right? Theodore Witcher, aka Ted Witcher, who wrote and directed Love Jones, is brilliant to me. And Love Jones was a masterpiece to me. Well, as much as I love this movie, and as much as many of us love this movie, look at the box office for Love Jones. You'll be surprised to know that Love Jones, I don't think Love Jones made $15 million at the box office.
Wow.
Like, think about that. If you looked at the box office for Love Jones, I think it's like in the 14 millions or something,
Wow.
which is by Hollywood standards, that's not impressive.
That's right.
Right? Like that's like not impressive, right? Brown Sugar. You'd be hard pressed to walk into a room of black people over a certain age and find a black person over a certain age that has not seen Brown Sugar, right?
That's right. That's right.
But the truth is, when Brown Sugar came out on 1,000 screens in October of 2002, it did $11 million opening weekend,
Come on.
and it ended up doing approximately $28 million at the box office. $28 million. It's respectable, but that's not a blockbuster.
That's right. That's right.
It just isn't, right? Because when you hear that number 28 million, unless you know the business, the studio didn't get 28 million because half of that goes to the distributors, right? The theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time a studio spends, I think the budget for Brown Sugar was say $8 million, and then they got to pay for prints and advertising, marketing dollars, right? Like at the end of the day, as much as we revere Brown Sugar wasn't considered a commercial success, at least to the extent it would have had to have been for Hollywood to go, for the studios to go, we need more Love Jones. We need more Brown Sugar. This is what they want to see. And
Do we credit that to marketing? Do we credit that to like what do we credit that to? Because everyone had these movies on VHS, on
yeah,
DVD. I mean,
yeah,
everyone had them.
yeah.
So I don't know how that.
I,
At that time, I'm
I,
not sure how that works.
So it's interesting, right? Because, at the end of the day, we kind of dictate what we like, right? And so, there are people who have criticized some of the work that say Tyler Perry has created. But Tyler Perry's movies do really well at the box office because there's an audience that embraces his sensibility, right?
Sure.
Think about New Jack City. New Jack City was a different kind of movie. New
Yeah.
Jack City came out a long time ago, so I could be a little off, but I think it did at least $50 million at the box office, right? Like I'm saying, New Jack City, again, I love New Jack City,
Yeah.
right? I know the producers, the whole nine. I love New Jack City. And New Jack City had a certain story, it had a certain element, and you know what I'm saying? It was much more of
Yeah.
a crime drama, crime story or whatever.
Gangsters with the gangster.
We
Yeah.
we show
Crime.
we
Yeah.
sh- we showed up for that, right? Like we don't, for some reason, we don't really show up for love on
Hold
screen.
on. Hold on. Hold
And
on. And you just hit something on the head, and it just deposited as soon as you said it. So when we don't show up for love, I'm an R&B.
mhm,
They call me the R&B ambassador. I'm an R&B singer. I'm
mhm,
a songwriter. I'm the whole nine in
mhm,
that regard. And
mhm.
I'm also, more than anything, I'm a student of all of this. So as an R&B guy, romance and love songs has always been my thing. In
Mhm.
the 90s, love songs, R&B music was more revered then than it
Yes.
is. Well, I'm gonna say it's not revered now, but not in the same way, right? So
Yep.
in the 90s, you mentioned New Jack City. I think of Boys in the
Yes.
Hood. I think of all of those type of films.
Yeah.
Those, maybe they had a bigger marketing budget because they're marketing to a sect of us that will support that negativity. Let's take it to hip hop because I know Brown Sugar had a
Hmm.
lot of hip hop influences in it.
Yeah.
Hip hop, when you think of Tribe Called Quest, when you think of De La Soul, when you think
Hmm.
of Mos Def, Talib Kweli, artists like that, they were revered, but they never did the numbers that the Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg did. They never did the numbers
Yes.
that, like
Yes.
Tupac's and
Yes.
the Smalls did.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's almost the same dichotomy in a way, right?
Yes. I
So in a
totally
matter
agree
of,
with you.
yeah, so I think maybe that's I don't know if that's a condition.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it's that. I don't know if it's
And
marketing. I don't know what it is.
yeah. And by the way, it's a question, and I don't think either one of us have the answers, but it's really interesting
That's
that
interesting.
like certain types of things that we respond to, right? In
That's right.
R&B music, back in the day, whatever that is, it was different.
It was
The
different.
words mattered, right?
Yeah,
They told stories that mattered. It's
that's
different
right.
today,
That's
right?
right.
And a lot of that's influenced by hip hop. And it's interesting about love because you know, again, it's almost frustrating for me because it's something I'm passionate about. I know
Yes.
how important it is, and as a person who's in the movie business who chooses to write about love, it's a little frustrating that we don't really show up for that genre the way we did. Like, look at Barbershop. Barbershop
Yeah.
was a hit.
Yeah.
Barbershop was a hit. It had nothing to do with love. It was
That's right.
funny. It was relatable. And
Yeah.
that Barbershop did $70 million. Right? Like, I mean, like compared to Love Jones, it did
Yeah.
14.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but it's interesting because sometimes my friends and I we talk about just how we as a culture were brought up. And when I think about love and I think about what comes with love, think about how, for example, and what I'm about to say is just my opinion. When I
Yes.
think about love and I think about how important, say, marriage is and
Mm.
commitment is, right?
Yes. Yes.
We don't ever, how many times have you ever been? We've all been in the barbershop
That's right.
and we talk about everything in the barbershop. We talk
Yeah.
about sports. We talk
Yeah.
about the side chicks.
Yeah.
We don't talk about love in the barbershop. We
Mm.
don't talk about commitment. We don't even, like, when we were younger, our
Mm.
uncles told you, you got to be tough,
Yeah.
right? We were told the things that you shouldn't do. You shouldn't steal. You shouldn't lie. But if I'm honest, and you could tell me if this was your experience, I don't ever recall a man when I was 6 years old, when I was 7 years old, talking to me about love, about
Yeah.
finding your good thing, about
Yeah.
honoring your wife, making that your superpower. Where that it's almost like that's been something
It's
that
it's it's
hasn't
an
been
anomaly.
prioritized in a
Yeah,
way. And I wonder if that has something to do with like how we embrace love in R&B, how we
yeah.
embrace love on the screen. I don't know. I don't know the answer, but it's interesting.
Wow. Respectfully to what you said, and I completely agree culturally. I will say, in my personal experience, my father,
Mhm.
and matter of fact, this is their 50th year to this year.
Love it.
And my dad
Yes.
was always showing us how to romance a woman.
Wow.
Flowers. He seen my
Wow.
mom with her red dress on. Here come in the house, lady in red. You know, my
Yeah.
dad was that guy. So, and some of
Yes.
that rubbed off on me in terms of just my appreciation to how I reverence a woman, how I reverence. So, I will say just to
Mhm.
give my papa a shout out. But
Yes. He deserves it.
culturally, I completely agree with you because I know exactly what you're saying.
Mhm.
So, what were the earliest influences
Mhm.
for you as a film producer or
Yeah.
as a writer? I think
Yeah.
about when I'm listening to you, it reminds me of of a Robert Townsend. I've never met Robert Townsend,
Mhm.
but obviously
Mhm.
one of the guys who I always admired.
Yeah.
I think about the Five Heartbeats contribution,
Yes.
and when I'm listening to you, it actually reminds me of the same type of spirit when I've heard him in interviews.
Yeah.
Can you mention some of the earliest influences in this
Sure.
space?
Sure. First of all, I want to acknowledge Robert Townsend because he's amazing. In fact, he chose to direct the very first film that I wrote and produced, which was Carmen, a hip hopper, the hip hop musical that
That's right.
became
Yeah.
Beyonce's acting debut for MTV back in 2001. It was Robert Townsend who directed that, and he
Come
didn't
on.
have to.
Yeah.
So much love and respect to him. You know, Ian, my influences were in some way, I would definitely say Love Jones in particular, because Love Jones and how I felt about Love Jones was why I changed the title of Brown Sugar to Brown Sugar. And because I wanted a title like that,
Yeah.
that's felt black and just and so that had something to do with it. But my influences were not black movies, which is why I ended up becoming a screenwriter, because the movies that influenced me and my sensibility were movies like Sleepless in Seattle
Come on.
and movies like You've Got Mail and you know and When Harry Met Sally, and like there were these sophisticated romantic comedies,
Yeah.
but we weren't in them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when
At
at
all.
some point I was in the movie theater watching trailers and counting how many of these upcoming movies were coming out, and I didn't see one black person. Trailer after trailer after trailer.
Yeah.
And so I decided I'm going to go to Hollywood and I'm going to create movies that universal in theme,
Hmm.
that everyone can relate to, black, white, or other,
Yeah.
but they star us.
Yeah.
And so that was my motivation. So
Yeah.
those movies inspired me to do work like that, but for with people that look like me inside them.
I love that. I love it. Um, so before the accolades and the success, what
Mm.
did the grind look like, if any? Like, what did the grind look like before that?
Bro, it was tough. Particularly when I decided to come to LA.
Yeah.
When I decided to come to LA, it was a big choice, right? Because a big decision, mostly because at that time I was already a father. My daughter Essence was in private school, and when I decided to come to LA to be a screenwriter, again, I'm not 20 years old. I'm like 30 or over 30.
Yeah.
I have responsibilities. Like I'm going to leave, go to the West Coast. They were in New York, her and her mother, and be a writer or something, or something. And
Yeah.
so that weighed on me. Essence's mother, Paula, said, "I believe in you. Go to LA. I'll hold it down. We'll put her in public school, and I know that you're gonna make it. You're gonna be successful, and everything's gonna be all right." So that weighed on me. When I got to LA, I had a job. My first job was working for Diddy as president of Bad Boy Films. Well, the job only lasted 4 months because
Mm,
4 months into the job, unfortunately, Christopher Wallace lost his life.
mm,
So, 48 hours after that, I got the call saying, you no longer have a job. Like whatever you
wow,
and Diddy were going to do back then, he was Puff, whatever you guys were planning to do outside of music in LA, he's no longer interested in doing. Good
wow,
luck. So
wow.
now I had a decision to make. Do I go back to the East Coast, try to get a job, or do I stay in LA and try to make it out here with no connections on my own?
Amazing.
And so I decided to stay and become a writer. And I told you about that story. And then it was like, how do I stay out here long enough to get traction, long enough to sell a script?
Yes.
And I did whatever I had to do. I had a car, I sold my car, I moved around a lot. I mean, it was, it was really tough. And in fact, by the time I sold my very first script, I had approximately $495 to my name. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And that's when my life changed. So yeah, that little stretch was really tough.
Yeah.
And But it turned out okay.
That's amazing. I mean, I love to
Mm.
hear stories. I mean, I love to hear the real that,
Yeah,
because we
me too.
all are, pursuing something, or,
Hmm.
specifically as dream chasers, and we're after something. And then, but real life is in the way. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Like, real
yes,
life is definitely, speed bumps and curves and hills and valleys.
yeah.
So that's amazing. Um, was there a specific moment where you felt like you found your lane as a storyteller?
Yeah, it was after Brown Sugar was made. I went to 20th Century Fox, the studio, and I sat in a screening room alone to watch the first, the cut of this movie.
Hmm.
And when we got to the end, Ian, and Tay Diggs' character Dre showed up at the radio station and he said, I don't want to be your friend no more, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Ian, your boy got choked up.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, you got to understand, like, I conceived the movie,
yeah,
right? Like from the first, like it was just a blank piece of paper.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so here it is, a movie, and I teared up at the ending I conceived.
yeah.
And by the way, I still do. That
Mm,
was the moment
yeah,
that I knew that I had purpose, that I had a place, that I had a gift,
yeah,
because I made my own self cry.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That was the
absolutely.
moment.
I, I, I feel like I understand. First of all, I love that illustration and that whole just expression. I feel like I can relate to that in some ways. I remember, a record I put out some time ago, and I would be performing this song, and then when you're in front of this crowd of people, it's, for me, it
Mhm.
was like 500 people.
Mhm.
I knew no one in there, but every
Mm.
one of them could sing the song back to me.
Wow.
And I'm singing the song, they're singing it with me. We're looking at each other. I'm just like, I remember
Wow.
being in my bedroom
Yes.
by this little lamp when I wrote this song.
Yes. Wow.
It's just me and this me and this art. I birthed it, and now
Yes.
these strangers are
Yeah.
singing the song. I
That's
I
crazy.
I kind of understand
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. I love that, man. So your stories feel lived and emotionally real rather. How
Mhm.
much of this is like personal experience?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think that, first of all, I've always been super, and I'm saying this because that's what my mom would describe me, super sensitive.
Gotcha.
The type of
Lovable.
person that could remember a moment 20 years ago and still feel it,
Yeah.
right? Still have the same emotions as if it just happened. When I was a kid, it was like an Achilles heel. Like when I was a kid, it was like there's no place for you to be this sensitive. You're from North Philly. Like,
Come on.
what are you doing? Like, why
Yeah,
are you
yeah,
so sensitive? And my mom used to say, man, that's just gonna be a problem for you as when you grow up being so sensitive. And now I realize, of course, that if it wasn't for how God made me to be so sensitive, I wouldn't. The movies that we all have come to love and feel and remember, they would have never happened because they have me inside them, right?
yeah,
They have like what I attempt to do without overtly trying because I'm just expressing myself is to put heart in my stories. I want you to feel something,
yeah.
even if it's not about even if it's not a romantic comedy. An example for me is in the movie Like Mike.
Come on.
And Like Mike is, that is a heartwarming story where Lil Bow Wow played Calvin Cambridge who just wanted family. I
Yeah,
can relate to that.
yeah,
That was me. That
yeah,
that story is super personal. He just wanted family. And to watch him connect with Morris Chestnut's character, and by the end of the movie, Morris Chestnut's character comes to him. It's literally like a rom-com. He
yeah,
comes to him at the children's home and he basically says, "My life, my life is nothing without you. I need
yeah,
you." But he's saying it to a little black boy.
yeah,
And that's love. That's heart.
yeah,
And I tried to like that's the special sauce is heart. And I think
yeah,
people feel it. You feel it. Hopefully, you felt it in Just Right. You felt it in Brown Sugar, and you felt it in Ruth and Boaz.
yeah.
So
Amazing.
that's what it is, man. It's just it's me and how I express myself that comes out a certain way.
I love it, man. Can you walk
Mhm.
us through how music influences your writing process?
Yeah, so it's interesting. The first thing is, you know, I I love hip hop, right? So, to me, it's like I grew up in an era where, like, I go all the way back, right,
Yeah,
to hearing Rappers Delight for the first time
come
and
on.
being struck by hip hop. So,
Yeah,
my first love was hip hop, it was rap,
yeah,
right? And so, that love of hip hop and the artists that created, you see it because you look at my very first film wasn't Brown
yeah,
Sugar, it was Carmen, a hip opera
yeah,
where I took an opera and and reimagined it as a hip hop story
yeah,
with a hip hop feel and with the Brat in it and Jermaine Dupri in it and Wyclef in it and Raw Digga in it. And
yeah.
so my appreciation for hip hop showed up in my first film clearly in Brown Sugar,
Sure.
um, clearly in Like Mike,
Yeah,
which was conceived for Lil Bow Wow to
yeah.
star in a family film, right? Just Right, Queen Latifah, another movie I had with Queen Latifah and Common.
Common,
So
absolutely.
there's always been that part. As it relates to R&B, R&B is love music, right? And so there would not be Brown Sugar if it weren't for the R&B song "7 Days" by Mary J. Blige.
Come
Because
on.
Ian, that's where the idea came from. I
Yeah,
wasn't I wasn't listening to a rap track. I was in the
yeah,
shower listening to Mary J. Blige sing the song and the lyrics of the song where she's talking about what happened with her friend. We were
yeah,
this one day, we were this another day, and on this day we made love. Now what are
yeah,
we gonna do? That's where
yeah.
the whole idea came from.
Come on, man. Come on.
And so, and yeah, so that's where it came from. It came from an R&B song. And yeah, man. So that's a perfect example of how my work is influenced by R&B specifically.
I love that, man. Man, that's amazing.
Mhm.
And now that just listening to you just you say that earlier, you said it was originally called 7 Days. I didn't put that together, and now because I
Yeah.
love that song, Mary J. That song,
Yeah. Yes, me too.
that's a
Yes.
classic, man.
Yes.
Um, you've been a major contributor to how Black romance is portrayed across the board. What was the missing? What was missing before your films in the ethos?
Wow, what a question, Ian. I never thought about that. What was missing before? Um, I'm not certain. I will say that, you know, I was a fan of many of the movies Hollywood was making that we created, right? And I mean all of them, like from Menace to Society, with few exceptions. Menace to Society, John Singleton, Boys in the Hood. Like there's been all these different genres, and
Yeah,
I've appreciated them all.
sure.
But I always felt we needed more love stories,
Yeah,
regardless of how hard they would be to get made.
that's right.
I always felt we needed more love story because again, the films that I admired were white romantic comedies, and they were endlessly created,
Endless. Yeah,
right?
it's still being made. Yeah, it's still
Endlessly,
being made.
endlessly. I mean, they had right. You could have Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan in two separate movies,
Yeah, that's right.
and right from You've Got Mail and Sleepers in Seattle, right?
That's
we
right.
didn't have we didn't have those. Yeah, we had Love and Basketball, we had Love Jones, we had The Best Man, and we had Brown Sugar. We
Yeah,
had four.
yeah.
Four that most of us can name.
I'm trying to think. I'm
Four.
like, that's about right. Yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
that something?
That's
Only
crazy.
four.
That's
So
crazy.
I always felt like we needed more. And because love and romantic dramedy and romantic comedy just happened to be my favorite genre.
Yeah,
It for me it was like if I'm gonna do it, I want to do this. Doesn't mean I won't write anything else, but this is the thing I want to do more than anything, which is love, romance.
so
And
what?
so
So,
I,
I
mhm,
mean, I'm not to cut you off. I'm sorry. So, what makes Black love stories unique? Like, I know I know it's unique as a Black person
mhm.
and of the culture. But what makes the love stories unique yet relatable? Because what I do know is I have some friends, from other cultures that I won't say forced, but I've said, man, have you ever heard of this film? And then I'll put on, man, you got to check this movie out. And once they watch it, they're like, man, I never heard of this film. I love this film. Like,
Yeah,
what is it
yeah.
about the Black
So
story?
yeah, so I'm glad you asked this because see this is the thing, and this is again my opinion. I don't know if a lot of people may disagree, but see, I don't think that our love stories are so different. That's the thing. It's
Yeah,
like we all come from the same source,
that's
right?
right.
We are different in a lot of ways,
Yeah,
but we're also alike in a lot of ways,
that's right.
right? Like we struggle with forgiveness and
Yeah,
heartbreak
yeah,
and disappointment, the real human stuff of life
yeah,
we all deal with, no matter what ethnicity you are.
that's right.
And so, again, one of the things that I wanted to do as a creative is like show you that you can watch a movie that has a predominantly, if not all, black cast and not be black and still have it resonate with you,
Yeah,
right? That like there's no secret code. There's not like, and if you've never heard of a specific, game that say reference in a movie like Just Right, maybe
yeah,
you'll Google it. But at the
mhm,
end of the day, like the stories that I tell are like things that they show us in a way that is human, not necessarily black, because what is that?
that's
Right?
right.
Like at the
Yeah,
end of
that's
the
right.
day, I
That's
want the
right.
same, I want joy, I want happiness, I want friends, I want
Yeah,
family, I want love, I want my kids to be all right. And you'll be
yeah,
hard pressed to find someone else that's not black that feels differently.
that's right.
So I wanted to show that we deserve to be in these stories, that we deserve to have our own When Harry Met Sally, our
That's right.
own Sleepers in Seattle. It's
Yeah,
just, and I think that I think we're in a good place. It was much harder in back when I was creating movies like Brown Sugar,
Sure.
and my God, I sold my first script in 1998. It was like it was a different world trying to do what we do now.
Yeah.
Because now, it's just a different world. I feel like ever since we've seen a black family in the White House, the ripple effect is that it's forced people who saw us as so different, right, and devalued us to go, whoa, 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 we gotta we gotta check ourselves, because the most
That's right.
powerful man in the whole world is a black man, and he's
That's
cool,
right.
and I
That's
like
right.
him,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, man, I don't think that our love stories are so different, which is
Mhm.
why they're so important, to me.
I love it. You mentioned earlier that Brown Sugar didn't do so well in the box office, and a lot of black films and the romantic films for sure didn't. Um, I think, and fast forward to streaming. Do you think streaming in this era has hurt or helped the film industry, specifically for black or just any, I guess, rom coms or just not even romantic
Yeah.
comedy, just romantic movies, dramas, the whole nine?
Yeah, great. I think streaming has helped us as a whole, right? Because there was a time not that long ago, pre-streaming, where you needed a independent distributor if you were being an independent creative,
Yep.
right? And that was hard, right? You needed one of the big studios to finance your film and give you a shot, and if not, then that was it.
Yeah.
But because today we live in an era of streaming, there are so many more outlets for visibility, for distribution, because there's so many other platforms that need content.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a good thing. I think there's never been a time like this, where with so many opportunities that you can now, you could create your own. I mean, think about it. There was a time when, this is a little unrelated, but as an example, I mean, there was a time when, a person like an Oprah Winfrey, right? When you wanted to
Yeah.
have your own show, that was a dream, to have your own show. How's that happen? You need an agent. You need a lot of things to go right, right?
Wow, fact, that's just right.
Now, you can you have the ability with technology
Yeah.
to create your own show and monetize it
That's right.
right now. And
I mean,
so it wasn't all.
we're doing it right here.
You're doing it right now, and it wasn't always like that. So I
That's
think
right.
I think it's been a good thing for everyone.
For sure. What advice would you give studios about investing in this genre long term?
Wow. Obviously, I think they should. I think, I'm biased, of course, but I think, we as Black people, we shape culture, we
Yeah.
shape aesthetic, we
Yeah.
shape. We've always done it. Think about music, right? I mean, as you know, like there would be no Elvis Presley
Yeah.
if not for him being influenced by black
Mhm.
artists.
That's right.
There would be no Rolling Stones
That's right.
if not for the influence of black artists.
That's right.
So, we've always been innovators. And so, it makes sense I mean, think about Ryan Coogler
Come
and
on.
what he's done from Fruitville Station
Yeah.
all the way till now.
That's right.
Let me tell you, ain't nobody like that, brother.
Yeah.
Ain't
I,
nobody.
yeah.
Nobody. Okay?
Nobody. Yeah.
He's just, and by the way, there's only one Spike Lee
That's right.
still, right? And now there's Ryan. There's only one Mara Broca Kill.
Come on.
Sorry. Like we have some greats,
No
and
doubt.
what's cool, and language and fashion and swag. White, I'm just freestyling here, but
Yeah.
a lot of people didn't know what that was, right?
That's right.
We always had it. We just
That's
call it
right.
something
Always.
different, but
That's
it's
right.
always been, we always walked a certain way. Your father
Yeah.
walked a certain way. It was always so, and we move commerce as well. So I think Would be smart to continue and in fact increase their investment in what we create.
That's right. Are you up on the new vertical storytelling, the new vertical uh, craze, or the new thing?
Yeah,
So everyone has a phone in their hand. We're not so much sitting at the television or at the big
yeah,
screen. And
yeah.
I'm a big fan of a lot of the vertical
Hmm.
storytelling or stories that I'm seeing. Um,
Hmm.
are you? Do you have any thoughts on that, or are you working on something
Yeah.
in that regard?
No, so I'm not in that space yet. Maybe I will. I honestly, I'm just learning about it. I mean, I met someone over the weekend who is a writer on some vertical content, working with Nate Parker,
Come
actor,
on.
producer, director.
Yeah.
And literally, if I'm honest, I was asking him, what is it? How does it work? And he was explaining to me these sort of micro episodes and how they work. And it was interesting to me.
That's what
Um,
it's referred to as
yes,
micro.
yeah, yeah. And so, the future is now.
Yeah.
So, I embrace it all. I need to learn more about it because it could be what's next, particularly with how we use our phones.
Yeah.
And, so, yeah, I haven't gotten into it yet, but it's something I intend to learn a lot more about.
Gotcha. Which
Mhm.
project that you've worked on or been a part of is the most personal?
Oh, that's gotta be brown sugar.
Yeah.
I hip hop was like my Motown. And so that really was a letter, a love letter to a world of music, a culture that really shaped my life. So that's the most personal for sure.
I love it. If you could create a definitive black love story today, what would you explore creatively to put that together?
Wow, a definitive black love story today. Wow, I would say, I have a thought. I just
Okay.
can't share it yet.
Yeah, I got you. I
But
got
I feel like probably I'm one of many writers who feel like they've yet to do their best. And I feel like I'm cooking with hot grease right now. I feel
you. Come
like
on.
the fact that, in this season of my life, I found love. I'm getting married in June.
Oh,
I,
congratulations.
thank you, man. I'm in a place of like heightened creativity,
I love it.
really. And I feel like, and in that, I've got a number of things that I think could be, one in particular with one of my favorite actresses that I'm hoping to announce soon. That could be one of the greats, like Boomerang, like
Come
some
on.
of the other movies that we love. I feel like I got something in the chamber that could be that we would love and that would be commercially successful. And then outside of that, man, I am determined to put love on TV,
Come
black
on.
love on TV in a scripted format. And so I'm working on something right now. It's still in the early stages, but it's one of my goals this year is to create a TV series that we're addicted to, that we talk about,
Yeah.
that shows the kind of conversations we really have with our
Yeah.
spouses and when we're single and the struggle and all that goes with it. It's time to put that on screen with us.
Yes.
White folks had 30 something back in the day.
That's right.
Where's ours?
That's
And
right.
so that's on my to-do list.
Come on. Come on. Look.
You
I'm
might,
on your
hey,
way.
you might be doing some music. You might be
Hey,
involved. So,
hey.
so I'll let you know about it. But I
I would
got
love, I
something.
would love to, I would love to be a part of that. That would be amazing in whatever way. In whatever way. I
Mhm.
will say this, I guess, while I have you, just to put you under some pressure on you. I'm always looking for mentors, and it's always good to have people
Yeah.
that's had a lot of success in different spaces. I'm a multifaceted, serial entrepreneur, and I,
Yeah, me
have had
too.
a lot of success in different areas.
Hmm.
But music is one of my
Yeah,
drawing passions. I cannot escape it. No matter how well I do and whatever else I do, I'm always being pulled back
yeah,
to this space, which is what inspired me to tell these stories on this podcast, because it's like, like I may not have had the success as an artist
hmm,
that I wanted, but that's not why I do it anyway. I do it
right,
because I love it, and I do it because it's a part of who I am. So I
yeah.
definitely love to stay connected for sure.
Hmm.
Um, Final message to the culture about love and storytelling.
Hmm. Support it. To the
Come on.
culture, we got to show up. I
Yeah.
mean, we literally just had a black producer, Will Packer, just produce a studio backed romantic comedy with two black leads. How many of us went to see that movie? I know I did. And by the way, even if I didn't, I would have bought tickets. But I bought
Yeah.
tickets,
Yeah.
and I went to see it. And so we if we want more love, love stories on screen, we got to support them all in some way. We really do, because when
Yeah.
you don't, it affects the other
The whole
20, 50, 100 people who want to do the same, who want to do more, because that's just how it works. If a studio like Universal can spend all of the money that it takes to do a movie, starring us, and we don't support it, it just hurts. It hurts us as a
yeah.
culture. So
Yeah.
I would just encourage us to support us. Like, I get, I'm from a different era, right? And so, the fact that, like, when I was making movies back in the day, we didn't have we couldn't all be critics, right? We couldn't just go on social media and talk disparagingly about
Make or break the film.
a content that black people created.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not a good
Yeah.
thing. It's just not a good thing. Like, I just think it should be like, we should think more like a community, and
Yeah.
like going like this sister made this movie. This sister did the wardrobe. There was a black man that did this on that movie. Like
Yeah.
I wish we could just encourage people to support our work, and
Yeah.
not be so quick to talk about the trailer,
Yeah.
or why him, or
Yeah.
all the stuff that we do. By the way, I mean, I'm not white, right? So, but I have a
Yeah.
feeling white people don't do that. This is some black, like, we're different. Ian, am I right?
You're right. We
I
did.
just don't, I don't know if white people are like, oh man, I just saw the trailer to such and such, man. I'm not like, no, but us, man, we talk about what her hair was like in the trailer,
Yeah.
and oh, I'm not, and like, we do all of this stuff.
You gotta love
Come
it
on,
though. It's
man.
like some of it is like, on the flip side, when it works in our
Yeah,
favor, it works like an avalanche.
yeah,
But
yeah,
when it's the adverse, you saying that, it just made me think of the Shamar Moore meme from the Tyler Perry film with the braids.
yeah, yeah,
It just made me
yeah.
think about that. But no, I
Mhm,
wholeheartedly agree with you.
mhm,
Totally, totally.
mhm.
One film, or I guess not film, but a series that I'm enjoying right now, I guess we could wrap up after this. I'm not sure if you're up on it. Reasonable Doubt.
Oh
On
yeah,
that's like my wife and I, one of
yeah,
our favorite series that we're watching.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think the temperature of something like that, I love to
yeah.
see a successful
Yes,
black woman in a
yes,
career, having
yes,
a family, the children, the husband, all of these different complex
yes. Me
stories
too.
that are just real life. Where we
Yep.
don't have, we don't really see enough of that type of
I agree.
creativity going out for us.
I totally agree. Totally
Absolutely,
agree. We're not done yet. We got more. We got
absolutely.
more coming.
Come on. Michael,
Hmm.
this has been an absolute pleasure to have you on our show. I know it's a lot of our audience are going to be tapping in that obviously are fans of your work and may not have actually known who you were or seen your face, but I'm glad to be one to help introduce you in that
Thank you.
way. Absolute pleasure. But we're going to stay tapped in. We're
Thank
going
you.
to stay tapped in. Guys,
Absolutely.
as always, this is a continued conversation. Can we talk R&B?
Can we talk? Oh, can